I think the most important thing is to just enjoy as much as possible. I'm not saying you can enjoy this. I'm not saying job search is something to really enjoy, but enjoy the fact that you have some great company here. We're going to try to liven up your Friday morning here. So hopefully, ready to take the ball. Go ahead.
I am great. Thank you so much.
Yes,
Kenneth, you were
sure.
hitting the post. Back in the radio days, they would call it hitting the post because the DJs would talk until the point in time that the artist would start singing the music in the background. And then they would stop talking so you weren't singing over Madonna or Mariah Carey or whatever it was. But thank you so much. I always need a helper because it's hard to multitask, and I don't want you guys to go, what is she doing over there in the background? We are live streaming this to YouTube. So I'll ask Julia, my intern, if she could please grab the list to the YouTube and drop it into chat. That way, if you want to watch it again later, you'll have the ability to do so. In addition to grabbing that YouTube for today, we have a playlist of all of the previous Friday VIP phone calls. And I think we go back to the beginning of 2022, maybe even 2023, maybe into 2022, but you can watch those kind of like a podcast. So you can hear the shows from before. All right. So I first want to start by asking everyone to introduce themselves inside of chat. And if you are an all-star, please use the raise hand inside Zoom right now so I can identify you as an all-star. And I'm just going to drop this into the chat right now. So for those of you, everyone on the call, really, you can put this in here. Introduce yourself. If you are job seeking, I want you to put in your targeted job title, your targeted geographic area, and then your LinkedIn URL, including the HTTPS. If you put that, then it's blue and it's clickable, and we can visit your profile while we're in here and invite you to connect. You don't need to say, hi, this is Brenda Meller, because Zoom will already say Brenda Meller to everyone inside there, unless you've renamed yourself, I guess. And I see that we have 4 all-stars, which will be joining me today. So I'm going to make each of them a co-host and ask them to help facilitate meeting behind the scenes stuff. If you see anything odd happening, feel free to help me out with that. And then I'm going to ask each of you to introduce yourself. And then that'll give me a minute to eat my yogurt. I'm going to take myself off a video, and then it'll come back to me. So we're going to go in this order. I'm only going to say it once. We're going to go Joey, Sue, Kenneth, Linda, and then back to me. All right. So go ahead in that order if you could.
Thanks, Brenda. Good morning, all. Thanks for joining us today. So my name is Joey Himmelfarb. I am a retired engineer/salesperson. I've been selling for like 25, 30 years. Author, speaker, and I'm on these calls to provide positive input and feedback to all of you. If I hear you going down a negative road, I will chime in and smack you across the face and give you a swift kick in the pants, if you will. Try to bring you back on board and just to remind you that positive beats negative every day. Next up.
I'm known as Sue Mentors. I'm the mentor with Pom Poms. I'll help you celebrate your big and small wins today and every day. I work with global professionals at all levels in transition and work hard for all of you to help you understand how to excavate your evidence so you can use evidence-based results and achievements, especially if you consider yourself a knowledge worker. On to Ken.
Morning, everyone. Kenneth Lang here, your LinkedIn introvert, and I actually changed my name today to reflect that. I actually had the opportunity to meet Sue about a month or so ago, and it's really great to actually get to meet a fellow rock star. In addition to doing LinkedIn training focused on 45 and older, I'm currently working at Lee Hecht Harrison with people that are in transition on best practices. And starting in the next week or so, I'm going to be focusing my efforts on one-on-one with senior executives, because apparently there's a really bigger need for that. So happy to be here. Joey, Linda, take it away. Oops, the order got me mixed up.
Hi, guys. I'm Linda Brubaker, and I'm an employment professional from way back. In fact, I've been on all sides of the desk as a recruiter, an employment manager, an employment consultant, a headhunter. And for the last several years, what I've been doing is focusing strictly on coaching job seekers to find their next forever jobs. I do it with resume assistance, one-on-one coaching, interview prep, helping you every step along the way. Brenda, your turn.
Oh, there we go. And it's back to me. Look at how that works. So thank you all so much for introducing yourselves. I'm going to bring us up to gallery view, and I want to say good morning and welcome to everyone who is joining us. I'm just going to look through the names real quick here. So let me just pull this up. All right. Trying to get to the participant panel. There we go. Good morning and welcome to Al, Angela, Annie, Becky, Cassandra, Christopher, Dana, Dave, David B, David M, David S, Dean, Brian, Esmeralda, Gary, Julia, my intern, Haley, Jeff, Jess, nice to see you again, Kathleen, Katie, Kevin, good morning, sir, Laura R, Laura L, Lisa, Louisa, Nancy, hey, Peggy is joining us too, Randy, Rob, Sherry, Stephen, Tamara or Tamara? I know it's said both ways, but at any rate, good morning to you. Tina, VF, Vic the Pie Man, Wendy, and Scott. And Peggy, I know you are a fellow LinkedIn coach. Would you feel comfortable? Is this your first call joining us, by the way, Peggy, or have you been on here before? I think you were with me when I was in Texas, but are you comfortable helping to answer questions for today too? Do you want to be an all-star today?
Sure.
All right, I'm going to make you one of those all-star. Have you been on as a visitor before, or was it just sitting next to me at the table was the first time?
One other time.
Okay, good. So you kind of know the flow of these things too. So I'm going to make you a co-host, and then I'll just remind our all-stars as we start to get into Q&A, and if you have any advice for people that are on the call, just use the raise hand function in Zoom. That makes it easier for me to see you. Okay. And I want to welcome all of you and just kind of let everyone know the lay of the land here. If you're new, go into chat and say new right now if you could. If you're a newbie, maybe you're joining us for the very first time, I'll call on one or two of you in just a moment and ask you to introduce yourself. But we're always curious, how people heard about us, and we'd like to welcome new people into the group. So we call this our VIP Friday job seeker office hours. And I want to break that down. VIP, because I want you to know that you are a very important person. I don't care if you're working or not working. You are still an important person. You're a good human being. Chances are what has happened to you is no fault of your own. It's a business trying to stay afloat, and they're cost cutting and eliminating positions, and industries grow and decline. And, businesses are trying to just be sustainable. So you are a very important person. I want you to know that. Okay. Friday, because we do these things every Friday from 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern. By the way, if you ever see someone in career transition posting on LinkedIn, telling people they're looking at jobs, telling people they're struggling, I want you to go into their comments and just say something like, Brenda Meller may have some resources that can help you. Remember to tag me using the @sign. And when you tag me, it's kind of like you winking to me, and then I'll wink back and I'll go and reply to your comment, and I'll invite the person into our Friday VIP job seeker office hours. And I do that. I use a service called Text Expander, so I don't have to type it in every time, but I just put into chat like what I will reply back. So that's kind of like you winking to me and I wink to them, and we help other people out. We're always paying it forward and bringing people into this community every Friday. So we talked about VIP Friday, job seeker. These calls are really dedicated for people who are in career transition, who are job seeking. That might mean that you are unemployed, you are underemployed, you might be working while looking. You might be working and wondering what's going to happen at the future of your company, and you're like, I should keep my options open here. We did create a really great resource called Do This Now. It's a checklist for individuals who are in career transition. I'm going to ask Julia to drop that into chat. It's a free download. And I've actually had many of the all-stars that are supporting me help to create that list. It's everything from changing your email on your LinkedIn account and Zoom, and getting a list of contacts from your work computer before they shut you down in there, to even asking, can you buy your laptop and work phone, things before you leave the company, even like separation agreements. Don't sign anything before having an attorney look through it. So not meant as, I'm not a lawyer, and this is not legal advice, but this is more like nobody helps you with these things. When you're an employee of the company, they're helping you. And then once you're let go from the company, you're kind of like floating. And nobody tells you, hey, you should file for unemployment right away. And you might have like a pride thing. And I was there too. I'm like, I'm not going to file for unemployment. I'm not one of those people. We've paid into the system, my friend. We should get the money out of it, right? So it's the things that people don't tell you that are covered in the Do This Now checklist. So be sure to check that out. The link is inside chat, and you can share that with other people that are in career transition as well. So we talked about Friday, VIP, job seeker, office hours, and the office hours part is what brings us to now. We want to make sure that this is a platform that you can come into every week, and you can type in a question to share with us. If you have a question, I want you to use chat to type that in, and I'm going to just do a sample question, and I'm going to say, do you like yogurt? So I'm going to put the word question in all caps, followed by my full question. That way, if we can't get to your question, there can be people in chat who can reply to you. Okay. So we want to make sure, I don't want to have anyone leave here feeling like I didn't get my questions answered. If you have a question, put it in chat right now. Put the word question in all caps and then type out the full question. Then raise your hand. Use the Zoom menu bar at the bottom. You can click under reactions. So the Zoom menu bar at the bottom, click on reactions, and then click on raise hand. That will help to bring you up to the top of the queue. And then I can see who has questions that need to be answered. And I just need to unhide non-video participants. So how do they do that? Show non-video. Because I did learn last week that if your video was off, I couldn't see your hand. So I needed to turn that on just now. All right. So if you have a question, type in question in all caps, followed by the full question, and then raise your hand. Okay. Your question can be related to your job search. It could be related to interviewing, could be related to your resume, could be related to your LinkedIn profile as it relates to job search or a new LinkedIn feature or something along those lines. So don't be shy. This is your time. I want to be here for you. This is like office hours, like my office doors open for you. And I've got a team of all-stars that are helping us with this. We also want to hear your success stories. And if you have a success story, I want you to type the word success in all caps in chat and type that in there right now, and then use the Zoom function to raise your hand, because we're going to call on you and ask you to share with us what your success story is. Maybe you've got a job and you're back to work. We'd love to hear those. Maybe you are interviewing, and that's an exciting thing. We want to hear about that. We want to hear how you got to the interviewing phase. Maybe you're finally starting to get calls now from recruiters and hiring managers, and we want to talk to you about what you have been doing differently to get there. So whatever you deem to be a success on your path for finding a job, we want to hear about it. Type the word success in all caps, drop that into chat, and then raise your hand and we will call on you. Okay, so I see a couple hands are raised. So I'm going to start with Laura and then we'll go to Jess next. Laura, what do you have for us? You have a question, you got a success story. What do we want to share with us?
I have a success story. So I have landed. I haven't been to this call in a little bit, but thought I would come back. This is my last Friday off and I'm back to work on Monday. And it's been unfortunately not a super relaxing last 2 weeks because I got 2 offers and one of them was a relocation offer. And so we spent last weekend going to that potential relocation and deciding it wasn't really for me and coming back here. But anyway, just wanted to share with people sort of how I landed. I guess first off, when I was first laid off, I was looking for closer to the title I had before. I was willing to go about 10% lower in base salary. After I got about 3 to 4 months into it, I decided to lower my expectations. And the role I have accepted is a lower level role. So it's up to you, obviously, what you want to do for yourself, but that's what's worked for me at this point. I would say I got to it from a recruiter who found me on LinkedIn. So definitely make sure your LinkedIn profile is good. And, but anyway, she had initially reached out to me in like January, early February, and then came back to me again, because that first role didn't work out. So make sure that anyone who's willing to talk to me, essentially I'll talk to them about what I'm looking for. So that includes roles that are completely not the right fit for me. I'll say, probably not the right fit for me. Happy to chat. Let's set up some time. So anyway, so I had this recruiter reach out. It wasn't the right role, the first one, but she came back to me. And that actually happened on both offers I got were that exact situation where they found me on LinkedIn. The first role wasn't right. And I ended up with an offer on the second role. And then the last thing I would add, which I hadn't been doing because I was at this higher level and more experience, I didn't think I really needed to practice interviewing. I should have been doing that from the very beginning. I think, especially as I had more experience, it was harder for me to be succinct in talking about all the experience that I had. And so I should have been verbally practicing, hopefully with a person, but LinkedIn Premium also has a way that you can video record yourself. I did both. So I just encourage everybody verbally practice because practice makes perfect and it'll help you.
Awesome. Well, congratulations, Laura. So you're now back to work off of the job search market entirely. And have you announced it on LinkedIn?
I have not. So because this role is a lower level role, I figure I'm going to leave myself as between opportunities for a little bit. It's starting here the last week of April, so I'll probably announce it in May. And And yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've had a few new recruiter reach outs, nothing where I've really gotten to the interviewing phase again.
Okay. And that's fair. And what I would say is, if and when you feel comfortable adding it to your LinkedIn profile, you can add it to your profile and not notify your network as well. So you can subtly add it, keep it up on there. And I hear what you're saying. Sometimes we have to take a job, to get back to work, to get on the benefits again. It might not be exactly what we're looking for and exactly at the salary level that we're looking for. But I do want to share with you that if you have a current position on your LinkedIn profile, it does help you to come up in more searches. So did you put an end date to the job before that yet? Or is that one?
I did. I had somebody who helped me with my resume tell me to do that. And then I found out afterwards I shouldn't have done that. And I felt like I couldn't go back and change it because I didn't want it to pop up with people that I was back there. So yeah, if you are new to the call today or you have not updated your LinkedIn profile, leave yourself in your prior job rather than doing an end date. I think, because that helps the algorithm find you.
Yeah. And it's not fair. I don't agree with it, but I always like to tell people, and LinkedIn even says, if you have a current position, your profile will be seen by more people. So they're kind of like spelling it out what that means. But at any rate, Laura, I am happy to hear you're moving on the path towards getting back to work. And I appreciate you sharing with everyone too, because sometimes it's okay to keep the door open, for other opportunities that come along that might be a better fit, that might be more in line with your skills, experience, talents, and obviously salary level, your value. I think that's an important thing. So thank you so much for sharing with us, Laura.
Yeah. And I mean, I've had a bunch of feedback too from other people who said that they had to similarly take a step back to get out of a situation, whatever kind of situation that was. So just know if you are thinking about doing that or you are doing that now, you're not alone. And it is challenging. I've had a lot of soul searching over the last couple of weeks. But ultimately, I think getting back to work is going to be really helpful for me. So regardless of what level it's at.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you, Laura, for sharing. We're glad to see you and always happy to hear a success story. I'm going to keep us moving along. Next up, we have Jess Samuels. Hey, Jess, how are you doing today?
Hi.
Good. Question or success story? I can't remember what you had.
Story. I wanted to let folks know that I have a new job that I accepted this week. So I really appreciate all the support that I've gotten here. And glad also that I do not need to come back to continue to receive that support on the job search front.
So can you tell us about the job, Jess, or are you waiting to announce it? Okay.
I have not announced it on LinkedIn yet because I actually want to reach out to people who've supported me throughout the process, but I can tell you that it's an account manager position at an ed tech company.
That's awesome. So that's like right in line with what you were looking for, if I'm remembering correctly too,
yes,
right?
It's working with residential life software, and I have 18 years of work in professional work in residence life, and I have 4 years of work in technology. So it's like a melding of the two.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations. Anything that you can share for fellow job seekers that was helpful for you to get this job? I mean, I think that you were doing so many wonderful things in terms of building up your visibility, but what can you share with others that might help them?
Yeah, so I've already shared a lot about what I did with recommendations. So I thought instead I might share what I did to help build my LinkedIn community when I first got laid off. So before I was laid off, the company that I was with prior had actually 3 rounds of layoffs. And the first 2 were in August, and then I was laid off in February. So I was actually the 3rd round. But in August, when we had our first round of layoffs, I actually did a lot of work to try to help them connect with each other and to connect with us at the company on LinkedIn. I created a giant LinkedIn spreadsheet and had people write down what jobs they're looking for so that everybody can link in with each other and expand their network. So if you've been laid off, I think it's a really great opportunity to like reach out to everybody and to provide that support. And then for this round, when we got laid off together, the group of us in February, we actually created a Slack group and supported each other through the job search by posting jobs and talking to each other about, do you have somebody that you're linked in with? Do you have a connection? And we started meeting every week, once a week, to check in with each other. So that was a great network opportunity as well.
Well, I'm not surprised you're back to work so quickly because I think you've had such a positive attitude. You've been very open about being visible. You've worked your network. And I think that's something I think everybody needs to hear. Because sometimes when we're in career transition, it's a blow to our ego and it's a blow to our pride and to our confidence. And you tend to like go inward with that. And I think, what you have done is really embrace this as an opportunity to reconnect with people and And even like you've been educating and helping, inspiring others along the way, Jess. So I am super excited for you. I'm going to miss you, I will say, but you know, you're always welcome back. If you have ever Friday that you're free, or you can just come in and sit in and listen on the audience, but let's definitely keep in touch.
Sounds great. Thank you.
All right. Did you add it to your profile yet on LinkedIn or not?
No,
yet?
I haven't, because I need to reach out to everybody who supported me privately
Gotcha.
before I publicly post about it. Since I
Good.
just
And I usually tell people, like, if you are going to add it to your LinkedIn, like check with your employer first and see if they want to do their own internal announcement or what their sequencing is. I personally like to wait until I have a first paycheck. So that might be like 2 weeks after I started the job, just to make sure everything's good. Some people do it like right away, even like before they start, but like I would say check with your employer first. And then if you do want to notify your network, which I think you should, it's because you've been in career transition, which is kind of a crappy time. And then you can celebrate it. And you get a lot of congratulations notes, and that's good visibility for you, but also for your company, for the new role that you've just taken on. It builds visibility for the company. So if you do so, make sure that you have the notify your network turned on. And then also, let's say just for you don't end up doing this until May, but you actually started in April. When you add it to your profile, you want to put your start date of May, because if you put April, LinkedIn will think of it as old news and they won't push out a notification. So the month that you announce it, that you want the notification, has to be the start month. And then a month or two down the line, you can always go back and change that on there. So that makes sense. All right,
that's
awesome.
great advice.
Good.
And I won't start until May. So
there you go. Well, then I'll be all encompassing in there. So
yeah, I start the day
that.
after we get back from a Disney trip. So it's like really perfect timing.
Oh boy, there you go. Going on vacation and then getting back and going back to work. That's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing and congratulations, Jess. Okay, I see a couple more comments and questions that are coming in. I want to remind you, if you do have a comment, a success story rather, or a question, to please raise your hand. And for our all-stars, if you want to add anything in terms of advice, answer questions, please raise your hand as well. Sherry Underwood, I see that your hand is raised, my friend. You have a success story, a question. How can we help you?
Good morning. I have a question today, and I'm wondering, the autocorrect for spelling doesn't seem to be functioning on my comments for posts, etc.
Is this Grammarly that you're using, or what are you referring to? Auto comments?
LinkedIn. On LinkedIn.
I'm not aware that LinkedIn offers that. Are you talking about?
Well, that answers the question.
I thought it was Grammarly that did that. Unless are you talking about like when it does like the squiggly underline if you mistype something?
Yes.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Post or whatnot.
Honestly, it could just be like a little hiccup on LinkedIn. What you might want to do is exit out of LinkedIn and log back in again, or like log out entirely, come back in again. Sometimes it's like a clear your cache and cookies thing. It's like the computer is processing so many things and it becomes overwhelmed. So it stops doing some functions. Just as an example, I was on a call yesterday. I was like presenting a proposal and my keyboard would not work. I could not type on my keyboard. Now, luckily I was sharing a PDF, so I didn't have to do much typing, but in a Zoom call, I don't want to have a situation where I can't type in the chat. And I Googled it afterwards. I'm like, what the heck is going on? And someone said, shut down your laptop. That'll reinstall all the drivers, including your keyboard driver, and it should work. And it did work. So it's just like sometimes your computer gets overwhelmed. So I might just try clearing out cookies and cache and then try reloading that again. But thank you for sharing, because that might have happened to somebody else too. And they're like, why did that happen?
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to take you off of the spotlight here, and let me see what else we have. I see a couple more questions and comments coming into chat. Here's a question. How can I get recruiters to respond or talk to me? And it's saying crickets chirping. Christopher, do you want to unmute yourself and talk to us a little bit about this, or are you just looking for some general advice? What would you think?
For a while there, I was getting maybe 3 or 4 interviews a week.
Mm-hmm.
And for the past 3 months, I got nothing.
Okay, Christopher, can you remind us, what is your targeted job title and your targeted geographic area?
My targeted job area is the New York metropolitan area.
Okay. And what's
And
the
I'm
work you're looking for?
something in change management, people analysis,
Okay.
process analysis,
Okay. And I heard you say you were getting interviews and now you're not. So I think there's something that's happening here for certain. I want to see if any of our all-stars want to jump in and ask some questions of Christopher to kind of peel back the layers of the onion here. One thing I've always heard, Christopher, is if you're applying to jobs where you are a good fit and you're qualified and you're not getting interviews, it could be an issue with the resume. So either there's a mismatch in qualifications or there's something that's not quite in sync there. So in that case, it might be find somebody to do a professional review or rewrite of your resume. If you have the budget to pay for a resume writer, great. If not, talk to wherever you went to school, college or university, reach out and say, what services are available to me as an alumni? They may be free of charge, which may include resume review. Many institutions will do this lifetime for their alumni. For no charge, they may offer a reduced rate, or you might have to join their alumni association. But they want to see their alumni being successful because that's a good reflection upon the university. So reach out to them. If you are getting interviews in the first phase, but you're never moving on to the second phase or getting a job offer, it might be an issue with interviewing skills, is what I've heard. So either the way that you're responding to the questions either isn't answering their questions, or they're not feeling confident about your responses, or what you're answering isn't exactly what they're looking for. And sometimes, honestly, it's a culture fit. You're not a good fit for them. They're not a good fit for you, and things don't move on in there. I see Joey has his hand raised. So I'm going to ask Joey, what advice or questions do you have for Christopher?
Thanks, Brenda. So, Christopher, in the world of sports, they talk about when you're in a slump, whether it's basketball or baseball or golf, it doesn't really matter. When you're in a slump, the coaches will suggest that you go back to the fundamentals. So if in baseball, if you're not hitting well, they'll have you go back and work on the fundamentals of your swing, and to the utmost degree. And so, to Brenda's point, reviewing your resume and or profile certainly is a great place to start. In reviewing those two documents, or those two places where your information is located, I'd suggest you look at it, reading it from the bottom up, so that you're not remembering or subconsciously reading stuff that you've read and written over so many years. If you start from the bottom and go up, then everything is disjointed and nothing is related to everything. So as you read up, you may see things that don't make sense, that are not worded properly, just grammatically they're not right. I'm not saying that's why a recruiter wouldn't reach out to you, but some people are like that. Some people are really nitpicking when it comes to just grammar. And that's probably not the case, but go back to the fundamentals and take a break and start from scratch, peel back the onion and piecemeal what you've got out there and make sure it's the message that you want to convey.
I've been doing that for the past month. I've been reviewing everything and anything.
Have somebody else review it.
Okay.
All right. Somebody who's not familiar, somebody who's familiar with you and somebody who's not, because you want to get a fresh set of eyes on what you've written, so that, because like I'm saying, there may be something in there that's glaringly incorrect or not right, and you're just glossing over it because you've written it and seen it so many times. So good luck.
All right.
Good point. Thank you so much, Joey. Okay, Linda, I see that you had your hand raised. What advice do you have or questions for Christopher?
So in addition to reading from the bottom up, one of the things you can do is read it out loud. Sometimes we hear things that might be different than we would actually do from reading, because reading, we have a tendency to put things in that may or may not be there. The other thing is to remember that employers don't really care about everything you've ever done. They care about what you can do for them. So if you're not getting those initial hits now, make sure that what you're doing, both in your resume and your profile, is targeting the industries you're interested in. For the resume and the cover letter, make sure it is extremely targeted to new job. And in terms of interviews, even with your interview stories, make sure that there is a tie-in to the new job, the new industry. If you're only looking backwards, that's what's going to happen, is people are going to just look at you in the past. You want to have something there that's forward-looking in terms of what you can provide for somebody else.
Okay.
All right. Is that helpful for you, Christopher?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I want to see if anyone else from our All-Stars group has any advice or questions for Christopher. Peggy, Kenneth, anything else to add to that?
I mean, I would just say one thing, because we've had some different conversations, Christopher. What are you ideally, what's your target job? Which with everything else going on there? I mean,
my target job is Ideally, change management, people analysis.
Okay. So without seeing your resume, I don't know how specific it is. If you want to send this to me or if you want to have a chat sometime, I'm happy to do that with you because you're local to me, right?
Yeah.
So like if you want to meet for a cup of coffee or something, we can maybe do that sometime. I'd be happy to do that. Maybe just to kind of brainstorm.
All right. It's a good idea.
Okay.
Okay, that's awesome. Thank you for offering that, Kenneth. And
Sure.
Peggy, did you want to add any questions or ask anything to that? I don't think I saw your hand raised. I'm going to keep us moving here. All right. Well, Christopher, I hope that was helpful for you. Thank you for being brave to ask the question, because sometimes people are like, I don't want to say this out loud. I don't want to ask this question, but there's probably other people that are struggling right now too with getting interviews and getting callbacks too. And I think there's so many themes that I heard in there. Sometimes you get so stuck inside your scenario. It's really helpful to have like an outside person helping to guide you through that. And whether it is, a trusted friend or having an accountability partner. And we've had people in this group to help each other with that. And sometimes it's hiring, whether it's a career coach or a resume writer, or going back to, like I said, your college or alumni, college or university alumni or career services department to ask for help on there. So I don't want anyone to feel stuck in what they're doing. So let's help you with that. Christopher, I'm looking at your LinkedIn profile too, and I want to make sure that your headline has at least one of your targeted job titles in it. I see business analyst, change management, process development in there. Just make sure when you're applying to jobs, as you're looking at those job titles, look at your LinkedIn headline. And if you can get more precise or maybe even change up the keywords in your headline from time to time, that will help you to come up in additional LinkedIn searches. Okay.
Yeah, my headline's gone through so many different incarnations.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's okay. I don't want you to feel like that's a bad thing. You're freshening it up and you're swapping out different keywords and phrases. You're evolving. So I don't want you to feel like it's a negative thing that you've been changing your headline. I think it's a positive thing because it's keeping it fresh. You're going to help yourself to come up in more searches as you swap in new words on there. So that's a good thing, Christopher. Okay.
All right.
All right, perfect. All right, I'm going to keep us moving along. Brian, I see that your hand was raised. I think you had something different, Brian. I don't think you were looking at adding on this conversation, but what question or success story did you have to share with us?
Actually, just a tidbit. So kind of a success is I've had a whole brain reboot from talking to several of the experts here in your group and watching your videos. And I just wanted to comment, especially with what I'm hearing from Christopher, and I'm looking at everybody's face. So this week I'm on this mental upswing, but I have been angry, down in the dumps, discouraged, all of that with the job search and LinkedIn. So I just want to encourage everybody, do a refresh with your brain, do a reboot, listen to something positive, watch some past recordings of this group, go to Brenda's VIP thing and look at the other tips. Everything works and it's easy to get discouraged. And I know I've heard feedback from people about what to do with my profile. I'm working on redoing it next week. It'll be different than it is today. And I'm redoing my resume. And, Christopher, I feel your pain. It's like, I looked at it backwards, forwards, but then I just had a chat with Jimmy and I had a talk with somebody else in Brenda's group, and they just pointed out 2 or 3 things. It's like, oh, I can't believe that's there. I didn't see it after looking at it 100 times. And then sometimes you just go through these dry spells in sending out applications and applying. So everybody keep your head up, keep charging ahead, but do a brain refresh so you can pick yourself up and smile, because I was looking through everybody's video pictures as we were talking, and I've been there too. We're all holding our heads and like, oh God, and just hang in there. It's going to get better. I'm convinced, and I'll leave it at that.
All right. Thank you, Brian. Linda, I see that your hand is raised. What did you want to add to that or new topic here? Oh, you're muted. I need my lips. Your lips are moving thing, but I don't have it handy. There you go. Oh, you're still muted, Linda. I'm sure you're saying something very thoughtful, but we're not hearing you.
There we
yet.
go.
Okay. Three strikes works. All right. Go ahead, Linda.
Okay. So one of my tricks to unmute didn't work, right? Sorry, the hand was raised by mistake, but I just really wanted to say that if you're trying something over and over again and it's not working, take a week and do something entirely different. Even if that means you walk away from the active job search for a week, it helps reboot, it helps you rethink, and it helps you connect again with what you're really interested in doing and different ways of looking at it.
All right. Thank you, Linda. Appreciate that. Okay. Kevin Kane, you are next. I feel like I want to say you're the next contestant on The Price is Right for those of you who get that reference. But at any rate, Kevin, it's good to see you today. Do you have a question, a success story? Did you want to add to the conversation? What do you have for us?
I just needed a clarification. Going back to the end dates for LinkedIn. So if my last job, I was laid off, and I just want a clarification on how I should present that end date. Is it present? You know, my
Do you
start
mind if I
date
show your
dash present?
profile? Would you mind if I showed your profile up on screen right now? Would that be okay with you, or would you prefer not?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
okay.
go for
Okay.
it. Yeah, no
All right.
problem.
Let me pull it up here real
I
quick.
did put it in the chat too.
Okay, thank you. I'm just gonna navigate out of my other window here. Take me just a second. Oh, now my Zoom got all frozen on me and it's not letting me do anything. Oh, no. Can any of the other co-hosts try to do a screen share real quick? Because mine is like frozen and I can't do anything and it might kick mine off. Oh, it works. Okay, there it goes. I got it. Sometimes when we have technology hiccups, I'm like, I'm not going to fight City Hall on this. I'm just going to have somebody else do the workaround for me. All right. So the question you're asking, Kevin, is you are not working. Did you already put an end date on your profile for your last job?
No,
Not
I
yet.
didn't. And so it was, I came in a little bit late and caught the tail end of the discussion. So that idea is there. It says, you know, 2022 to present.
Yeah.
Is it, am I changing that from present to, you know, because I was laid off. So technically.
Yeah. So if I were you, since you have not put an end date in there yet, I would not put an end date until you have a new job or unless you put another company page in there. So let me give you a couple different paths that you could consider. And I'm going to speak generally, not just for you, Kevin, but for others as well. If you are a member of any professional organizations that you are active in, a professional like the PMI group, for example, or SHRM or American Marketing Association, if you're a member of an organization, you could put that in the experience section. And this is really not that it's a job, but it's showing how you're staying active while you're in career transition. If you volunteer, you could put a volunteer into your experience. Now you are working as a volunteer. So even though it's unpaid, it's pro bono, you are working. If you serve on any boards or anything like that, you could put that into your experience section. And then if you have any of those things in your experience, then you could put an end date, because then we're not being faced with the penalty of not having an employer. Even though it's not an employer, it's a company page in your experience section. Does that make sense, Kevin?
Yeah. So I'm hearing it would be so I'm a board member of a nonprofit. So I would put the nonprofit as current through or a date dash present, but ideas would show an end date then.
Yeah. So then after you add in your nonprofit board, and you can choose to notify your network to blast it out or not, you know, maybe you just add it in and be a little bit more subtle, but after you add that in and you put, you know, the start date to present, then you would go to ideas and you'd put the end date.
Got it.
Okay. And then in addition to that, what I might do just to make it super clear to people that you are looking for a job, you would speak about anything in the experience section for ideas in the past tense. You know, while I was a director of business development, I focused on client success. So you're kind of talking about it in the past tense. And we want to make sure that it is clear in your about statement that you are looking for a job. And I would, if I were you, if I was in career transition, in your about statement, I would spell it out. Instead of just the generic, to learn more about how I can help you, I would say, I'm just making this up. I'm seeking a VP, or I'm currently seeking a full-time VP of business development position in New York City. So just like we did in the Zoom call, you want to be specific on what your targeted job title is and what your targeted geographic area is. So there's no confusion for somebody looking at your profile. You don't have to like use the open to work thing at the top, but I do like to see it inside the about statement someplace, because I think that helps to create some clarity. Does that help you, Kevin?
Yeah, great. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. And thank you for letting me share that up on screen while we were doing that. All right. I'm going to keep us moving along here. Remove the spotlight. We got about 15 minutes to go. So I'll remind you, if you have any questions or success stories, don't be shy. This is your time. I want you to feel free to ask them. Okay, I'm going to scroll down because I think there's a couple more in chat where people hadn't raised their hand. The raising hand helps me. So if you don't mind, raise your hand, because then that helps me to find your questions and what. David Ball says, what is the setting to not notify your updated job information? So let me show you my profile right now. I was talking about the green notify network. So let me show you, if you do add a new position and you don't want to broadcast it out, whether it's your new full-time role or like you want to add like a volunteer position or a board role. You're going to go to your experience section, click on the plus icon because we're adding a new role, and then you're going to click on add position to your profile. And let's just say I'm going to add a board role. So I'm going to type in board member. Let's say Inforum. It's just a membership group that I'm a part of, but let's say I'm on the board for Inforum. At the very top, this is what I was referring to, notify network. If it's toggled to on, think about choose green to be seen. And this will push out a notification to your network as long as you indicate your start month is the current month that we are in. So if I put April of 2023, and then after I fill this all out, as long as I had on, turned on, as soon as I save it, LinkedIn's going to ask you to post to talk about it. And you do have to do that step in order to get the notification to go all the way through. I thought you could skip it, but I had the experience recently where we had to enable that. And then what will happen, I'm going to discard this, but what will happen is under notifications, within like probably 10 minutes to an hour, LinkedIn will push out a notification to people. Let me see if I can find any in here right now. And it might say something like, congratulate Brenda Meller on starting a new position as board member at Inforum. And then people can either, let me just show both ways of this. They can click on say congrats, which would message you, or they can click on the body of the post and it would take it to the timeline, where then they can say, congratulations, Kevin, on your new role. And a lot of times they choose the templated stuff from LinkedIn. Kudos to you, well deserved. They're templated, but there's still effort, put into that. So that's how you would set up that green notify network button on there. I'll remind everyone, this is recorded. I know I went through that pretty fast. So if you do want to watch the play, you can go back and watch the playback on YouTube again. I'm going to ask Julia if you could please put again the YouTube link for today's call, as well as the full YouTube playlist for the previous Friday job seeker calls as well. All right. Someone else said, David said, but if your prior job has an end date and you are now well past that, then you can't really leave in job experience section, can you? So great question on this, David. I've seen people leave a current job showing it as current until they land a new job. And I've seen people do this for a year or even 2 years, sometimes if they've been in career transition that long. Now, if you do not want to keep it open that long, but you do want to put an end date and have something else in there, I've got a blog. I don't know if Julia, if you can find it quickly, but it's like, what do you put in your experience section? And there's a couple company pages that you can link in your experience section that would indicate that you are open to work, that you're not, it's not actually an employer page, but it's like an open to work page. So let me just show you this and I'll see if Julia can find the blog. It's on my LinkedIn articles, Julia, if you can look for it there. Let me just show you as an example here. You could click on the plus symbol, click on add position. And let's say I'm still in career transition right now. I'm looking for a marketing director position. So I'm going to put that in my job title field. And then under company name, if you start typing in open to work, and there's a bunch of these that people have created out on here, I'm going to look for a symbol that says open to work, and you can pick any of these really. It doesn't really matter. It's just showing an employer in your experience section. There's other ones that are open to new opportunities. So there's a couple different versions of these that are out there. In my blog, I think I list like 6 to 8 of them that are in there. So you can certainly list any of these in there. And then what would happen, I'm not going to save this on my profile right now. Then what would happen is in your experience section, the top experience would say open to new opportunities as the company name with that logo that was created by that group. And then the job title field would say marketing director. And then you would go into the paragraph block and you would tell people, I'm currently in career transition, looking for my next full-time position as a marketing director in Metro Detroit. So it kind of explains what that is. But we are using the fact that LinkedIn will penalize us by not giving us as many search results, by not having a current employer. So we're putting like a Band-Aid on top of it for now. And then obviously, as soon as you're back to work, you would remove that open to work company from your experience position and add in your new employer. Okay, so hopefully that helps you all out. I see a couple hands were raised as I was talking about that, so I'm not sure if it's about that or something else, but Kevin, I see that your hand was raised, and then we'll go to Cassandra. Did you have your hand raised again, or was that left over? Was that a residual hand raise? And you're muted right now. No, you're saying no. Okay, I'm going to take you off. Cassandra, do you have a question or a success story, something we can help you out with?
Yes, I have a question.
I'm sorry, say it again.
I do have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
I've been looking for a job for about 3 months. Today's my last day with my current employer. I've laid off 6 rounds of employees. And how do I get noticed? When I click on a link to apply, I see hundreds and thousands of applicants. And I just feel like my resume is getting lost in the.
Okay, we're going to have a great conversation about this. I'm going to start with who hates the black hole of job search? Go into chat right now and tell me if you hate the black hole of job search and how much you hate it. I mean, what you're talking about it's like that's what this is that you're going through right now. It's soul sucking, it's energy crushing, it's confidence crushing. And you feel like you're at the mercy of the system. You apply to job upon job upon job. You never hear anything back. You may or may not get an automated email. And sometimes it's months and months after you've applied and you're like, I don't even remember that I applied for this job. And why am I not getting notice is a common concern I hear from people too. So Cassandra, I want to first start with asking you the question, what is your targeted job title and targeted geographic area?
So I'm looking for a remote position. There's so many titles for HR.
Okay, so it's in the HR. It's in the HR field.
Generalist, manager, people ops, employee experience, employee relations.
Okay.
I'm not a specialist. I don't specialize in benefits or payroll or anything like that. I mean, I can do those jobs.
Okay. I'm going to stop you if you don't mind, Cassandra, because I want to help you because I see a lot of people doing this. When we ask you the question, what are you looking for? And sometimes I get I'll do anything and I'm open to work for anywhere in the world. So I want to ask you again, and I want you to say it again. And this time when I ask you, I want you to be confident and specific with what you're looking for. I don't want you to tell me what you don't want to do. So I want you to say, well, I'm an experienced HR professional. A few job titles I'm looking for might include an HR generalist or whatever it is, HR coordinator or an HR manager. And I'm open to remote opportunities. So I want you to say it in the positive, in the confident way. So again, Cassandra, can you tell us what is your targeted job title and targeted geographic area?
I am an HR professional with more than 18 years of experience. I'm looking for opportunities, titles that include HR generalist, operations generalist, HR manager, ops manager, and employee experience. I'm open to remote opportunities.
Okay, let's give Cassandra a thumbs up if you thought the second description was 100% better than the first description. Wasn't that awesome? Do you see how it makes it a lot easier for us to understand like what you're looking for when you're more specific about what you're looking for? Have you considered doing a LinkedIn post yet, Cassandra, to let people know that you're looking for new opportunities and what you're looking for? Or is that not something that you were able to do?
I think it was last week or the week before, they had talked about asking a coworker or friend to do the post for you. And I reached out to my former coworkers. We do have a Slack channel, which is awesome. I'm glad you said about that. And we've been trying to help each other with job searches. So I do have a couple that said that they would post for me.
Oh, that's great. Awesome. And make sure that when they do, you comment back and you get in the conversation and follow up any of those leads or opportunities. Okay, I see, Joey, you have your hand raised. So did you have some advice for Cassandra?
Two things. First of all, so there is a classic case of what Jess said before about practicing interviewing. In 2 seconds, you and Brenda went through a quick role play, and you could already see the difference in your response, right? So that's I want to make note of that. But when it comes to you looking for work, Cassandra, if you see hundreds and thousands of people applying, you have at your fingertips a network that nobody else has. And one of the things I learned when I wrote my book was that it's one thing to think about all those people you know, but man, it's another thing to write their names down on a piece of paper, right? So you need to get out your contact list and either print it out or write it out and think about the people that you know that know a lot of people that talk to a lot of people, like your hairstylist, your doctors, your auto mechanic, your dry cleaner. These people talk to people. The chances are great. In fact, I would bet dollars to donuts, whatever that means, that you'll get an interview with somebody who you don't know because you know somebody who knows someone who knows that interviewer. That's not going to happen if you apply to, as Brenda calls it, the black hole. You send out stuff to an ATS, good luck. Not that it can't happen, but good luck. Use your network. They're there. They want to help you. Just like the people that will post for you, right? That's what you want. They're at your fingertips. I'm guessing you've been around enough that you have a handful of people that you know at a minimum and people that you've worked with in the past. And again, all those people that talk to other people are people you need to talk to.
All right. Thank you, Joey. We're going to go to Kenneth, and then I'm not sure if Rob had anything to add or if it was a separate question, but let's go to Kenneth next, and then we'll kind of go from there. Kenneth, you're muted. I'm sure you have really great advice, but we can't hear you.
Now you can. Now you can. Too much multitasking. Make sure when you're talking to people, you're very clear on what you want to do. Different audiences have different knowledge about what you want to do. Like if I'm talking to someone like a hairdresser or something, they may not be able to specifically know in your background what you do. But if you say you're a problem solver, if you're looking for certain industries, it's so important to have different types of elevator pitches. That's a big thing also. And this LinkedIn in some ways has become the black hole for job seekers because everyone is posting the same thing again and again. I'm open to work. Hire me, hire me, hire me. Don't get worried about that. Connect with people you want to know. Try to set yourself apart. We've all been through the black hole, but above all, ask everyone here in this group for advice and feedback, not just now on this call, but afterward. Have a conversation with someone, meet someone, and brainstorm. Because someone should, and Brenda's right, the confidence from one time to the other was such a great difference. So you got to feel good about yourself. You know, you're going to get a job. You know, Marty Lavin says, you know, you're always going to be in transition your whole life from job to job to job or thing to thing. So you got to try to embrace as much as possible, and you will get through this. And we are here to help you.
All right. Thank you, Kenneth. I see Peggy, you have your hand raised. Did you want to add something to this for Cassandra?
Yes, two things. Make sure that your connections know specifically what it is that you're looking for. You have to train your connections to pretty much be your silent sales force for you. You know, be very specific about that. The other thing that you can do is to go to your LinkedIn and do a little reconnaissance, do some research, type in some of those titles that you're looking to find a position in and see how they've written their profile. Look at some of the jobs in there and look at some of the keywords that they're using. So, you know, do some background checking basically on your competitors. And I think that would give you some real good input. And I agree totally with what Joey had to say and Kenneth. You know, you've got to be very, very specific about what it is that you're looking for. And good luck, because I think you'll be able to do that. And report back to us maybe next week.
Thank you, Peggy. Cassandra, is this your profile up on screen right now? Okay, so I want to help you because I hear you're saying like I'm applying, I'm not hearing anything back. So the first thing I want to wrap up with this and then we're going to move on is when you're applying to jobs on LinkedIn, make sure you look up the company on LinkedIn, follow their company page and look up their employees, find like maybe 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 employees to connect with on LinkedIn. When you connect with them, don't immediately say you're applying for a job. Say something like, hi, Peggy. I see that we're both in Metro Detroit. We share several common connections. Let's connect on LinkedIn after you accept it. Thanks for accepting my invitation, Peggy. I see that you work for XYZ company and there's an open HR position there. Do you have any insight into the hiring process? So you're going to ask an indirect question. The direct would be, here's my resume, get me to the hiring manager. An indirect is, do you have any insight of the hiring process? Or a variation could be, I'm curious what you think of it. What's it like working there? Or what's the culture like? You can give them a soft question. Not everyone will answer, but you may get one or two that do. And then if they do, and they get talking, see if they might be open to making an introduction to the hiring manager, or telling you who's the hiring manager, or facilitating getting your resume over. But let's warm up the opportunities that are otherwise cold, because you're competing with a lot of people in the market right now. The other piece of advice I want to give you, my expertise is in LinkedIn profiles and optimizing profiles to support job search. So I want you to know that your headline field, I'm highlighting it right now, needs to include at least one targeted job title. That will help you to come up in more searches from LinkedIn recruiters. LinkedIn recruiters are probably not looking for servant leader and maybe employee advocate, but they are looking for HR business partner, or HR generalist, or HR specialist. So use at least one of those targeted job titles. You can use several, but try to put at least one inside there that will help you to come up in more searches. Cassandra, was this helpful for you? I'm going to make sure before we move off on this. Are you good? Okay. I see your head nodding up and down. All right. Any final comments for us before we move off? Okay. All right. We're going to keep us going here. And Rob, I see that your hand was raised.
Yep.
But did you have something to add to this, or was this something?
No, it was a question. I actually put the question in the chat as well. So.
Okay. What was your question, sir? I'm
All
sorry.
right.
I didn't see it.
So I live in Phoenix, Arizona, and for the last 15, 20 years or so, I've been doing jobs where it didn't really matter where I live, because I travel intensively, 50 to 100%, varieties of locations that I go to domestically and globally. And so that's what I'm continuing to look for in my job. I don't mind working remote occasionally, a week or so here and there when I'm not traveling. So, and we would relocate somewhere for the right opportunity if there was something too good to pass up from terms of a position, company, salary, and a great relocation package. But we're not targeting any particular area. So
okay, I'm sorry. Did you have a question, Rob, or what were you?
The question is, what's a way to put that in LinkedIn geographically to express that succinctly, and not say I'm looking for a job in Dallas, or I'm looking for a job in Phoenix?
Okay, Rob, would you be comfortable if I pulled your profile up on screen? If so, I need to get your last name.
I guess. Yeah, go ahead.
What's your last name?
Lepler, Lepler.
Okay. So your question was, you want to designate that you'd be open to multiple geographic areas or to relocating in other areas. Is that, am I understanding correctly?
What I really want is to just have a job that doesn't matter where I live.
So based in Phoenix, but it could be a remote position.
I don't want 100% remote job. That's my point.
Okay. So what I would do if I were you is I would keep your geographic region as greater Phoenix area. Don't change it to like United States or something like that. If you do, I always feel like those profiles, I feel like you're hiding something if you're not sharing your city. And I often think you're overseas and you're trying to get into the US, or, you know, you need a work visa, or I don't know. I feel like you're hiding something. So keep it as greater Phoenix. If I were you, in your about statement, the first thing I want you to do in this, Rob, is I want you to change this to the first person. So imagine if you and I are sitting at a table having coffee together, and I know of a position where you'd be a good fit. What would you tell me about what you're looking for and what you offer to a company? You wouldn't turn to me and say, agile, cross-functional leader, skillful and navigate. Like, you wouldn't say that. That's what's on your resume. But you would say, I'm an experienced operations executive who helps organizations to improve their bottom line through efficiency. I'm looking for my next position as a PMO leader in an organization, preferably based in the Phoenix area with some potential for remote work or something. Like, explain it in there that you're based in the Phoenix area, but you'd be open to considering a role anywhere in the US that has some remote capabilities with it. Does that help you?
Yeah, I think so. All right, I
Okay.
can say remote plus travel, something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So say what your preference is, but then say that you would also be open to a position that's located outside of Phoenix that is a
Mhm.
remote position with potentially some travel. Joey, did you want to add something to that? No? Okay. I want to start to wrap us up, and I see that your
Thank
hand
you,
is
Brenda.
raised, Joey. You're welcome, Rob. Joey, did you have something additional that you wanted to cover? You're good. Okay, so I'm going to start to wrap us up for today. We've had a great call. We've still got 43 people on, and I want to say thank you to all of you. By the way, I need to do another group photo. Remember the last week I took a group photo? I can't find it anywhere. I'm searching my desktop, my downloads, everything. I can't find it. So if you want to get on the group photo, I'm going to put us all in gallery view right now. I'm going to post this today on LinkedIn. And if you have your video turned off, you will not appear in my photo. So I'm going to hide non-video participants. Okay. So if you are not on camera, you're not going to appear in the photo. Scott Boudreau, your camera is black, my friend. I'm not sure if you turn your camera off or if you've got like a privacy thing over top of it. But if you do want to appear in the photo, you do need to turn your video off, Scott, if you don't mind. I'm going to probably stop your video because I'm not seeing you responding. You might have stepped away. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Get your camera on. And ladies, we're always like fluffing our hair and making sure. Like the gentlemen, they don't do anything. They're like, let's go. We're ready for the picture. All right, I want to make this a fun photo. Earlier, we did a thumbs up for someone. I think I kind of like the thumbs up. Is that okay with everyone if we do a thumbs up in the photo? Okay, so let's do a thumbs up in the photo. Thumbs up because we are A-okay. We're good. We're a great hire. We're going to be a great next hire for the company. And I want you to smile, and I'm going to count down 3, 2, 1, and then I'm going to take the photo. So smile, look at the camera. 3, 2, 1. Okay, let me just make sure everybody's eyes are open. Okay, I think we are good. I'm saving this to my desktop right now, so I know where it's at, and I'm calling it today's date too, so I should be able to find it and post it on LinkedIn. I do apologize. I don't know where it went last week. I'm trying to find it. I'm going to post it on my LinkedIn today and mention that you are all a part of today's Friday VIP Job Seeker office hours. And I will tell people if they are hiring to please look in comments. So you all need to go into comments and put your introduction. Tell people your targeted job title, your targeted geographic area. You don't need to put your URL because you'll be on LinkedIn. But as soon as I get off of here, I'm going to post the photo, and I want you to go and find my activity feed on LinkedIn and look for the photo and then comment in there if you could. Julia, could you drop my, actually, I'll put my LinkedIn URL in the chat right now. Just click on this right now, and that way you'll have it open. And as soon as the post goes up, I just need to find my chat. Where's it at? As soon as the post goes up, you'll be able to find the post on there. Let me just do the Zoom intro one because I know I have it in here. There it is. Okay, so go there and then you'll see the post in just a few minutes. All right, it was a pleasure seeing all of you guys today. We had such a great call. I want to thank our all-stars for helping with questions today. Linda, Kenneth, Joey, Peggy, and Sue. It was a pleasure seeing all of you guys. Thank you, Julia, for helping behind the scenes with kind of keeping all the chat and everything moving along here today. And thank you to all of you for making this a part of your Friday. It was a delight seeing here. And I want to remind you, we are here for you every week. If you ever want to just come in and just be in the audience, you can be passive. And if you want to come in and get into chat and participate in questions and success stories, you're welcome to as well. So thank you to all of you for attending. Thank you to Joey, Kenneth, Linda, Sue, Al, Alicia, Andrew, Angela, Becky, Cassandra, Christopher, Lewis, Dean, Esmeralda, Gary, Julia, Jeff, Juan, Carl, Kevin, Laura, Lisa, Louisa, Monica, Nancy, nice to see you again. Randy, Rob, Scott, Sherry, Simeon, Stuart, nice to see you, sir. Tamara, Tina, VF, Vic the Pie Man, and Wendy B. My name is Brenda Meller. I help you get a bigger slice of the LinkedIn pie, and we are here for you every Friday, my friend. Have a wonderful